Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As you all know, Sarah, I'm Dave, and we have with us Lindy and her husband, Mike. We're going to hear from Lindy this evening about her vaccine injury, which she received as a gift from the United States government in the military. Um, if you would care to introduce yourself however you'd like, and then we'll just let you lead right into how it is that you see it, where you want to start it, and what you want to include. We may ask a few questions along the way.
Okay,
So take it away.
I'm Lindy. I was in the Army and then I transferred into the Coast Guard. And this is my husband, Mike.
I was just in the Coast Guard. And that's where we ended up meeting.
He actually got a special discharge for my illness.
So I can be her caregiver.
And so basically, before I got the vaccine, I was extremely athletic. I was the type of girl in the Army that guys wanted to go on ruck marches with because I actually had the record at Fort Polk for the fastest 12-mile ruck for a while, and I gave a lot of people a run for their money. I was air assault. I ran on the Army 10-mile team, and then when I transferred over to the Coast Guard, I really wanted to be a rescue swimmer or a diver, and so I trained every single day, no days off. And if it was raining, I was doing burpees inside. I didn't want to sit. I even used mowing the lawn as an exercise. I would run with the lawnmower because I hated going slow. And so then COVID hit, and there was a huge mandate on base, and people were like, all right, we got to take the vaccine. But I was waiting. My family was like, wait, don't take it yet. Let's see what happens. And I was just waiting. And then the military said, okay, you can't wait anymore. You need to get this vaccine. And I told my bosses I didn't want to get it. And my E9 and my E7 sat me down in a room, gave me paperwork, and said, if you do not get this, you can be kicked out. You will be kicked out, either other than honorable or dishonorable. You will have your benefits taken from you. Um, and they basically said, don't make this harder than it is. And they had a medical personnel call me and schedule a vaccine for me. So then I asked if I could get a different type or brand of vaccine, but they said no. I had to take the brand that they prescribed the day they prescribed it on base. So I was scared. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to lose my career. I joined at 18, right out of high school. I didn't want to get kicked out dishonorable because what would I do? How would I get a job after that? And I didn't want to lose everything I've worked for, not to mention the 5 years I trained to be a diver. I didn't want to lose any of that. I had so much going for me. So I went and I got the vaccine. The first dose, I didn't really feel anything. But the second dose, I remember exactly what I was wearing. I was wearing flip flops with silver beads on them, and I was wearing a yellow tank top. I just got done with the crazy workout. And 2 weeks after that, my life completely changed. I had not had COVID before, so it's not long COVID. Basically, what started happening was heart palpitations, blurred vision, muscle tears. I tore my ACL from just walking around with ammo, which had never happened before. A lot of you military people know slinging ammo, it's like 75 pounds a crate, and I was just doing that all the time, no problem. But I was having workout intolerances. So I went from running 5 miles every other day and swimming a mile every other day, 100 push-ups a day, to not even able to run a mile all of a sudden. Um, I went and saw medical, and I was scared. I didn't know what to do. And at that time, I was really upset with what was going on. So I decided to get out of the military. It was my time to get out because I was scared about what was going on with my body. And I went to medical and I told them, like, my ears are ringing. I feel anxious. I don't know what's going on. And the doctor basically looked at me and said, "You're having anxiety." And he dismissed my ringing of my ears and said, "Why didn't you tell us this before?" And it made me feel like he just thought I was trying to get more disability. Um, so in the process of getting out, they gave me Zoloft, and I took Zoloft. I didn't feel anxious. I just felt like I couldn't see well, and I felt like my heart rate wasn't working properly. Especially,
Problems.
do what?
Blood problems.
Especially if I try to work out.
Yep.
I just felt like I was gonna pass out or my heart was gonna bust out of my chest. And I just hid in my house. I was scared, and the military makes a stigma with having anxiety. I didn't want to go and tell anyone what I was feeling. And I took the Zoloft, and I convulsed for 4 hours when I took the Zoloft. It was bad. And for 2 days after that, I felt so horrible. And everything just got worse. Everything just spiraled. And
So at this point, she was still mostly functional. She could walk around, she could take care of herself. And it came time for me to transfer because she got out, but I was still in the service. But I was transferring across the country, so we were picking up and leaving. And then I unfortunately got COVID at work and I brought it back home. So we both had COVID right as we were doing our transfer. And I had the normal symptoms. It was 2 weeks of it sucked, but I got through it, not that big of a deal. For her, it was rough and it lasted a lot longer. But at that point, she was still mostly functional, but her health was declining.
fast.
But we got to California, and she had just this round of just random illnesses coming up out of nowhere. I mean, weird reactions to food, weird reaction to poison ivy and poison oak, which she barely touched. And she got a reaction that covered 70% of her body. The entire right side of her body was covered in this rash. It was terrible. She had some other infections that kind of popped up out of nowhere. And then it was in April of 2023 where her body essentially just shut down. She completely shut down. I was about to go out of town for 2 weeks for a military training too. And she couldn't stand up. She couldn't sit up on her own. She was completely bedridden. We had to close the blinds. She couldn't get water. She couldn't go to the restroom by herself. She couldn't do anything for herself. And she basically just locked herself up for that time while I was away.
I couldn't speak at all. And essentially, what the vaccine did to my body is it killed my immune system, and it's just been attacking. So I couldn't fight off COVID, and I got Epstein-Barr reflare. I got a UTI, and they gave me 3 antibiotics, and I had an allergic reaction to all 3 antibiotics. And it was awful. And so for 8 months, I laid in bed in excruciating pain, and I couldn't move and I couldn't talk. It was awful. It felt like I was in a pain coma. Like I could see, I could hear, but I couldn't communicate properly besides groaning. And every time I would do a video consult with the doctor, or my social worker. They'd be like, "Do you want me to call the ER?" And I just would mumble under my breath, like, "This is normal. This is how I am every day, in every waking moment."
And of course, we've been to the ER already. But when this all first happened, we were at the doctor's nonstop, and they couldn't do anything for her. All of her labs were coming back seemingly normal. Everything seemed to be fine. They do ultrasound of this. They would do some kind of check of her heart in this area, but everything was coming back normal. And so we just kind of, at that point, we're starting to give up on all of the medical system, but you ended up getting enrolled in the VA at that point too.
Yeah, and so then I saw some specialists and a lot of specialists. A lot of doctors were throwing me to different places because they had no clue, like, why I stopped walking, why I stopped speaking, like, what was going on. And a board of doctors deemed that I was vaccine injured,
Good.
and I'm disabled with it. They call it chronic fatigue due to the residuals of the vaccine because they didn't have a name for it. But I still go to the VA, and some doctors will deny, even though it says I have a vaccine injury. People dismiss me. And when I'm out, when he's pushing me in my wheelchair and I'm out, sometimes I have seizures, and I call them semi-unconsciousness, where my body goes limp and I drool and I'm semi there, but it's painful. My whole body is excruciatingly painful. But people just stare at me. And sometimes people ask what I have, and I tell them, like, well, Mike will tell them I'm vaccine injured, and they will flat out tell me, I don't think that's true. And it's so hard to have an illness where people are thinking so much about politics that they don't care about what a person is experiencing, and how much pain that has to feel to have an illness that not a lot of doctors will even research for you.
Or acknowledge. That's another big problem because they know they all gave that shot a million times. So they
Yeah,
own whatever guilt that they have in order to honor what you're going through. And I think that's a big transition point that we need to get to.
yeah. And so some doctors have told me, they will straight up tell me in my face, it it very well could be the vaccine, but why does it matter? Because COVID would kill you anyways. And so that's the main thing that doctors tell me is, even if it was the vaccine, or even though it is the vaccine that hurt you, COVID would have killed you more.
So I just want to say a couple things. Like, first of all, it's really hard to get a provider, besides maybe a handful of us, to say, look, you have a vaccine injury from the COVID vaccine. I don't even want to call it a vaccine. It's a bioweapon, right? They never proved that it stopped transmission, stopped infection that was out there very early on, that they knew that this wasn't actually going to do that. And then all the side effects that are associated with it. You caught COVID, you were sick, you caught COVID. I've had COVID several times. It's not debilitating, it's uncomfortable to say the least, but um the injury, the problem is, and Dave, you're right, they don't want to look at that and say that they caused it, but to finally have some acknowledgement. Did anyone report your injuries to the VAERS database? Do you know what that is?
I tried to report it myself. I don't know if I fully did it, but I think that a lot of the doctors I've seen, they just try to tell me, okay, you're vaccine injured. Let's get over that. Let's treat your symptoms.
So right now, I mean, it's so wrong. And I think the military should honestly have the gold standard of healthcare. You guys should have the healthcare that all the other healthcare companies are trying to model, because our veterans should have the best quality healthcare out there. And unfortunately, it's quite the opposite. Your healthcare is not what anybody really wants. You should have the top-notch people treating your symptoms, but getting down to the nitty-gritty of what's going on in your body as a result. Basically, you're attacking yourself. Your body's attacking itself.
Yeah, the
To
autoimmune
turn that
component
down.
is definitely
Yeah,
there. The poison ivy thing is sort of a dead giveaway for that.
sure.
And a wild thing that's been happening is like I can prove it with photos. I when he pushes me in my wheelchair over rocks, my skin breaks out from vibrations.
You use a massage gun as well, which you've used plenty of times before because your muscles are so achy, they hurt so much. But she's used a massage gun lately, and she'll start getting this kind of flushing or kind of breaking out in a rash just from like the vibration.
Or rubbing my ear
It's the
just a
strangest.
little bit, my face will break out in heat, and I'll have random allergies to things like turmeric. If I have turmeric, my throat swells up and turns red. I have
Wow.
no idea why.
Wow.
Before I lose the thought again, what was the original dates roughly of your vaccination, and which one did you have?
The second dose was September 21, 2021. That was my second dose of Pfizer. And that's when I started having major issues and I lost the ability to function as a normal human.
But you were
What?
still talking, you said.
I was walking, yeah, it like everything slowly declined. It was like a slow decline and then it never got better. It's like I'll have breathlessness one week and then the next week I'll have breathlessness and heart palpitations. And then the next week, breathlessness, heart palpitations, blurred vision. But none of the symptoms ever went away and it just
Add on.
compounded. And I even lost vision in my right eye for 3 hours. But I have it back, but it's just random symptoms that are horrible.
What have they done for you so far? I mean, what tests have they done? They kind of just put you in a catchphrase, this chronic fatigue post vaccination, which is just like, we don't know, so we're gonna just label you as this without, there's not like a definitive test that will actually diagnose you as that. So it's just this catchphrase. But what have they done? Have you seen any vaccine injury specialists, or have you seen anybody that says this is what is happening? And I've seen this a bunch of times, because you're not the only one. There's others that are suffering, unfortunately, and hopefully there's a handful of providers that are coming forward and saying, this is what we're trying, this is what we're doing, we're seeing some results, we're not seeing some results in this. Have you had anybody actually kind of go on your side and on your team and do things that have benefit your mobility and your strength and your symptoms?
The thing that upsets me the most about Western medicine is that even though my diagnosis is vaccine injury, they lump me with long COVID and treat me for long COVID.
Which there may be some similarities, but it's absolutely not the same. So I mean, they've really just done the standard array of tests, just checking organs with imaging. They've done countless,
MRIs.
yeah, MRIs, but countless blood tests. And I'd say that's really the one true telltale sign of what's going on, is that you can get an antibody test for the spike proteins, and it will give you within a certain range of how many antibodies you have to that. And the typical person obviously will go up after a vaccine or infection, but then it'll die off after time to a very negligible amount. Well, she still is way off the charts. One of
because
the companies, I'm
her
sorry,
body is producing it.
exactly, it's still
Body is
producing that.
making spike protein. That's the issue with tampering with genetic instruction. And that's become a typical thing now. Like they're finding, there was a study in Japan, they're finding it in the infants of vaccinated parents. So it's become encoded into some people's DNA.
It's been 3.5 years since I got my second dose, and I got a blood test a month ago, and I have more than 14,000 spike proteins in my body still.
And what have they done? I mean, I'm going to offer you, I told you this already, but I'd like to get you on a protocol to help. We got to be kind of careful because it sounds like you were very overly sensitive to several supplements. And so you
Yeah,
go
the
from
two
really, really
is that
slow. But the key thing is that ivermectin and really binding to the spike protein. There's a few other things. But yeah, most people that are vaccine injured, they have horrific symptoms. But every test that they run, they don't run any like inflammatory marker test or D-dimer test. They just won't do that. They'll just do your very basic. And everyone, they're like, I don't know, your tests look fine, even though you don't feel fine. And no one's getting to the kind of holistic or functional medicine side of what's going on. But the purpose of those mRNA vaccines, first of all, it's to turn on your cell making process to make the most inflammatory component of that virus, which is the spike protein. So now it's integrated into your DNA, and your DNA keeps reproducing spike protein. How do you actually shut that DNA cycle off? We don't know. We can give you supplements and medication that will kind of negate what those spike proteins will do and cause problems in the body. But there's not, we don't have right now, hopefully we can come up with something, but right now we don't have a way of shutting off that DNA to stop making those spike proteins. So you're going to continue, just like your body continues to make other proteins to just stay alive, it's going to continue to unfortunately make that spike protein. So we got to figure out, someone's got to figure out how to shut that off. But in the meantime, we want to try to negate some of those symptoms of the circulating spike. So we should do that. But so give us like your typical day. You know, I follow you. You were very, very, very active, and now you're wheelchair bound. And people need to hear this. People need to understand that you are one of many. Like your life is completely changed. Here you are giving your service to keep Americans safe. And in that process, our own government, which is supposed to protect us, turned against the people that are supposed to protect this country. And I know I've listened to a lot of people in the military, doctors talk about the astronomical increase in myocarditis, pericarditis, autoimmune, heart disease, strokes, cancers, death in the military since the introduction of these vaccines. Um, and it's disgusting. And there's got to be financial compensation. We'll put your link for people to donate, but the government really should be compensating you as well. But give me just a blurb of kind of what your day is like, and now your husband who's got to help you. Thank God you have him. But give us kind of what your day is like now.
Well, one of the main symptoms that's happened recently is I have issues with light and sound, and so it's very debilitating. I have to wear a double ear pro if I leave my house. I have to wear sunglasses. That's why the lights are off, because I will either have a seizure or I'll like go semi-unconscious and have full body pain. If I talk too much, I can't read more than 2 pages. I have arthritis in my whole, like, all of my fingers, and so I can't just draw or paint very much. I can't do very much at all. I can't play video games because my eyes don't track it, you know. I feel like I'm gonna faint. It's painful. And then I can't open my eyes if I try to play a video game because my eyes are just so overwhelmed with everything. I can't go to Bible studies, can't go to stores. If I'm in the car, I have to wear a donut to keep my neck straight. So basically, what I do is I stay home unless I have a medical appointment, and my husband takes me. Some days I can shuffle around the house by myself, but I can't make food. I just now started to be able to pour my own water. Um, but there's days when I can't even put my own clothes on because my body just won't do it. It's very debilitating, and we have to have a full-time caregiver. And when he's gone, I have to have someone come in because if not, someone will just find me on the floor somewhere, unable to move.
Wow,
I'm so sorry.
awful.
Thank you.
Yeah, when she first had her major crash in 2023, I mean, she was completely bedridden for 8 months. Like she said, unable to talk, she couldn't even formulate sentences, just one step away from being comatose. Thankfully, it was actually ivermectin that she took for about 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken, and that actually did break you out of that, where you could get out of bed every once in a while. But still not nearly enough. And then she actually went to a neurological clinic in Arkansas. We just got done with that for a while. And again, they didn't give us quite the healing that we were hoping for, but she's here now and she's able to talk. She would never have been able to do this phone call 5 months ago. This would have been impossible. So she's making some improvements, but even after 2 weeks after the vaccine, she's never been herself. I mean, she used to rappel from helicopters. She used to just be an Energizer bunny. She was the life of the show. She was a light, and she's never been the same since then.
Yeah. Like right before I got the vaccine, I won a triathlon. The third triathlon I ever done, I won it for my age group. And I won a skateboard competition, the vert and the street for women. And I
You
was
were
tearing
sailor
it up,
sailor of the quarter
Just got
for
sailor of the quarter.
Forscon at work. I mean, you tried out and made a semi-pro soccer team. Like, it was insane what she could do before, and then
Yeah.
she's never been the same since then.
So the ivermectin did help you a little bit, though. You felt like it kind of, at least after those 8 months.
Yeah, I only had a prescription for 2 weeks. But it definitely helped me get out of like, I wanted to die. Like, I thought I was dying, and the doctors at the VA even thought I was dying. One of them said, like, you might die in 7 months. And he was so tired, he was asleep at the VA because, and I had to sit there and listen to this doctor, and I was leaned over and drooling. She's like, you might die. This is serious. And ever since that moment, I'm like, I might die still. Like, they found out this week that my liver enzymes are really high and I have liver damage. And so it's attacking my body and they don't know how to fix it.
Wherever those spike proteins land, your body will attack.
Sounds like she sort of got them everywhere.
You got them everywhere.
You
Yeah.
keep what's your typical diet as far as sugar intake, meat?
Well, recently we started eating grass-fed beef from a local farm down the street. I'm very thankful, but I don't eat a lot of sugar. If I do, I'll have like a piece of dark chocolate. I try to stay away from sugar and
Good.
um, we just eat as healthy as I can. Acai bowls, gluten free, usually as mostly dairy free as I can. Um, that's what we've been trying to stick to.
You feel like that helps a lot too in your symptoms, just decreasing inflammation in the body?
Yes, I think it helps a lot.
Yeah.
I
Well,
pretty much live on meat, raw milk, and eggs. And at
that's
50 years old, I'm a lot less achy than I ever was, having even been through 9 failing discs. So as I age, those changes in diet have done things that you couldn't say, oh, this is for sure happening. But anecdotally, I know how I feel.
Yeah,
I'm stronger now than I was in my mid-30s, my early 40s. I'm in a lot less pain than I ever was, and a lot of the repeating conditions, fatigue, inflammation, general pain, back pain for sure, are all greatly reduced by living on animal protein. Consequently, eggs, especially if you can get local eggs, there are actually studies on PubMed showing the eggs' efficacy in helping mitigate some of the spike protein damage. Eggs are
good.
no joke. It's basically a life multivitamin with a calcium cover.
that's awesome. Good thing I love eggs.
Amen.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why I have birds in my backyard, so there's a never-ending supply.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Uh,
I,
Go ahead, Sarah.
oh, I was just gonna say diet. So diet's important. So I would love to kind of track your story. I want you to reach out to me. Let's get you some more ivermectin. For sure. I can do that's very easy to do. Um, I'm thinking already of a list of supplements I want you on, but I'm going to be very cautious and careful what we give you. Um, and then I want to put your GoFundMe up so people can help negate some of the costs. Now we have basically two providers that are no longer providers, and you guys are uh, needing help. And so let's get that out there. And if you're okay with it, maybe in 3, 4 months or so, Dave and I can check back in with you, see how you're doing, see what the progress is, see if we've made any improvements, and kind of just keep letting people know your story because it needs to be out there and people need to know that this is what has happened to you and to many others. And so it's important, very important to have your story told.
Well, I appreciate you guys so much for reaching out and helping so many people.
Got it. You
We
got
do
it.
we do
All right.
what we can. It's definitely an uphill battle. I mean, here we are 5 years into the same fight, and it doesn't often feel like you're winning. It often feels like you're just screaming into an empty room, but you keep doing it.
Yeah.
I'd also like to connect her with React 19, Jess and Bree,
Sure.
see if
Yeah.
they get it out there a little more as well.
Yeah. So
Are you
Jessica,
familiar with that organization at all?
Yeah, I've seen a few videos, and especially excited for the documentary to release for everybody.
Yep.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they did do their premiere. I don't know if it's up on the internet yet or not, though. I haven't talked to either of them for a while.
We can share your contact. Dave can do that. And I think I know that there's financial support there as well for patients. So um, let's do it. Get you connected.
Thank you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah. Welcome. And we'll be in touch. We'll post your give, or I guess it's not Give Send Go, it's GoFundMe. And let us help you wherever we can. Reach out to us.
Thank
All
you.
right, and God bless you guys.
God bless
Appreciate it.
you too.
bless you as well. Thank you for sharing your time with us, and I don't want to keep you constantly talking. I know it's exhausting.
Yeah, well,
No,
like I said, it's a blessing that I can talk. 'Cause that
True.
was real boring not able to talk.
One little step forward is big progress.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Awesome. All right, we will be in
Thank
touch.
you much. Nice to meet the both of you, and I hope you have a wonderful evening.
You
You
too.
too. God bless.